Autism in Women. Understanding, validating, and empowering our experiences. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. If you're new here, thank you for being here. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that many have spoken of, but is still not talked about enough: how autism shows itself in women. Autism in women is mostly overlooked and misunderstood due to outdated diagnostic criteria that were largely based on male presentations of autism. A lot of autistic women mask their traits, leading to late or missed diagnoses, which can result in challenges with mental health, identity, and access to support. Talking about autism in women is crucial for increasing awareness, improving diagnosis, and ensuring that autistic women receive the recognition and resources they need to thrive. Growing up, I knew I was a little off or a little different. I thought it was because I had moved towns and the people were just different. I was loud, blunt, and sensitive to certain sounds and textures, and often exhausted from socializing, but I learned to mask it well. Because I didn't fit the stereotypical image of autism, my struggles were dismissed as shyness or being overly sensitive. It wasn't until adulthood that I finally got my diagnosis and everything started to make sense. This topic matters so much to me because so many autistic women go through life feeling misunderstood, struggling in silence, or being misdiagnosed. Raising awareness can help others recognize their experiences, seek answers, and get the support they deserve. In this episode, you can expect validation, information, and empowerment. Many autistic women have felt overlooked or misunderstood. This episode will highlight shared experiences, helping listeners feel seen and heard. We'll dive into the research gaps, common signs of autism in women, and the real-life challenges autistic women face. Listeners will learn strategies for self-advocacy, building community, and embracing their autistic identity with confidence. If you don't know this, autism research has historically focused on men and boys, leading to a biased understanding of how autism presents. Early studies primarily observed white, non-autistic male children, shaping diagnostic criteria that emphasize traits more common in boys, such as obvious social difficulties and repetitive behaviors. As a result, autistic women, who often present differently, have been overlooked. Many women and girls develop strong masking skills, mimicking social norms to fit in, which can make their struggles less visible. Autism in women may present with deep special interests in socially acceptable topics, internalized anxiety, and sensory sensitivities that don't align with outdated diagnostic models. This makes it so much harder. For example, my special interest was making music. It's hard to diagnose someone off of their love for music alone. But if you asked me back then how much time I was spending on music and the subconscious sacrifices I was making just to make music, then that would be a different story. Not eating or using the bathroom until a song is done, not sleeping until it sounds perfect, not wanting to do B or talk about anything that didn't have to do with music. Because of these biases, many autistic women are misdiagnosed with anxiety, depression, or personality disorders, delaying their recognition and support. A more inclusive approach to autism research is crucial to ensure that all autistic individuals, regardless of gender, receive proper understanding and care. I personally was diagnosed with anxiety and depression before my autism diagnosis. With me being able-bodied and able to speak, most doctors would take the easier route or just rule out autism due to lack of or outdated knowledge. Social conditioning plays a huge role in how autistic women experience and express their traits. From a young age, girls are often expected to be more social, empathetic, and emotionally aware. Because of these gender norms, many autistic women learn to mask their autistic traits, forcing themselves to make eye contact, mimic social behaviors, and suppress their natural responses to fit in. For me, it was a win-win situation, so here's the story. I grew up on a dead-end street. There were about 8 houses on the block, and every single house had kids in them, 4 of which had 2 or more kids in them. So we looking at around minimum 10 kids, depending on who moved at the time and who didn't. Every single kid on my block was a boy. I grew up wearing women's clothing, and it was horrible. It was so uncomfortable, and it made me feel too claustrophobic, and that every time I put on clothes, it was only to showcase my body. When I started to have intimate feelings, I would have them towards the girls. The girls liked the way the guys dressed, so little by little, I would start to fall into my tomboy phase. It really was a win-win for me, and I haven't looked back since. But that's to say this, that autistic people will mimic what is supposedly the social norm. And at first the norm was, I am a girl, I wear girl clothes. But I only hung around guys, so my social norm in my head switched due to my surroundings. Still don't regret it. Men's clothes are awesome. This masking can be exhausting and lead to anxiety, burnout, and identity struggles. Many autistic women spend years feeling like something is wrong with them without understanding why. They may excel at passing as neurotypical, but at the cost of their mental health. Additionally, society tends to dismiss the struggles of women, often labeling them as overly sensitive, shy, or anxious rather than recognizing the signs of autism. This leads to late diagnoses and a lack of support, making it even more important to challenge these gendered expectations and create a more inclusive understanding of autism. Many autistic women and girls go undiagnosed because their traits don't always match the stereotypical male presentation of autism. Some of the most commonly missed signs include 1. Masking and camouflaging. Mimicking social behaviors to fit in. Carefully studying social cues and rehearsing conversations. Rehearsing greetings. Rehearse how to ask questions. Rehearse how I sit in class, etc. Hiding stimming behaviors or forcing eye contact. Shaking my leg. Tying and untying knots. Blinking, moving side to side in my seat. 2. Social difficulties that aren't always obvious. Struggling with small talk or group conversations but appearing social. Always being in the social background. Awkward silence in conversations, stopping that flow. Feeling deeply drained after social interactions. Feeling incapable of doing anything after social events or interactions for long periods of time. Feeling irritable or losing the ability to even do small tasks like wash dishes, sometime even get in the shower, etc. Having one or two close friends instead of large friend groups. I had one or two friends in various large groups of people, if that makes any sense. Third, intense special interests in socially acceptable topics. Deep obsessions with books, TV shows, psychology, or animals. Lions, Batman, the color red was a very bad obsession for a long period of time. Becoming an expert in a niche topic but masking it as a normal hobby. For me, it's mental health, spirituality. Using fiction or fantasy as a way to escape social struggles. It's easy for us to gravitate to alternate fantasies of different worlds and societies because it's like getting to know this one, except we actually have to live this one. Fourth, sensory sensitivities that get dismissed. Strong aversions to certain fabrics, sounds, or food textures. For me, that would be wool, corduroy, anything scratchy, wet socks, really dry fingertips, slamming things, loud screechy things, slimy things. Extreme discomfort with bright lights or crowded spaces. It's very hard for me to think properly in crowded spaces. My only thought is escaping the crowd. Lights that are too bright stun my brain like a stun gun. It's like my brain keeps freezing and defrosting. Needing routines to feel safe and regulated. No routine. No life for me. I love having a routine way more than I love not having one. They both occur, but most of the time I have a routine. I would say about 80% of the time. 5. Internalized anxiety and emotional intensity. Overanalyzing social interactions and worrying about saying the wrong thing, it really bothers me to ruminate all the time. This reflection and post-processing process takes up so much energy, maybe more than the actual interaction. If a situation happened, when I go home, I would think about the entire situation over and over, different variations, and how each person may or may not have been feeling. What I could have done differently. This goes on for hours, depending on the situation the rest of the day to a couple of days. Suppressing emotions in public but experiencing meltdowns or shutdowns in private. This is a good one. We already feel inadequate, subpar, so the last thing we want to do is be a burden. Or for me personally, I don't know how to act when people show empathy towards me, so I would rather not give them the opportunity to put us both into an awkward situation. Feeling deeply connected to animals or fictional characters more than people. Because these signs are often overlooked or misinterpreted, many autistic women are misdiagnosed with anxiety, depression, or personality disorders. Recognizing these traits can help more women and girls get the validation and support they need. Hearing a lot of stories from women really put things into perspective for me. I am more of a dominant woman, but women who are more feminine definitely go through periods of feeling like they don't fit into the standards of society's views of how women should be, inevitably making them feel like less of a woman, so they mask. I knew a girl who loved to draw anime, and she was autistic, but you could tell that she hid it from others When we would talk, though, after learning that I like anime too, she completely opened up, and it was like seeing the real her for the first time, giving autistic women the space to be a human being first before social norms adds value to an autistic woman's life. Growing up, people were still learning about ADHD. Being autistic wasn't even a topic, really. Whatever information they did have was mostly based on nonverbal boys. I have heard from many doctors that autistic people don't talk much, but I can talk for hours or not at all. One of my traits with autism is catatonia, which we can do a whole episode about it because I find it to be very interesting. A lot of my sensory issues were hidden because they were already accommodated by my guardian, who also had sensory sensitivities, so I never had wool clothing or anything too uncomfortable for the most part. But women's clothes suck. While sensory sensitivities are a core part of autism, many autistic women experience them in ways that are often overlooked or dismissed. Some of the most common include 1. Clothing and fabric sensitivities. Struggling with certain fabrics like lace, wool, or tight-fitting clothes, preferring soft, loose, or tagless clothing, discomfort with bras, tight waistbands, or certain underwear materials. 2nd, sensitivity to personal care products. Strong reactions to perfumes, lotions, or makeup textures. Difficulty with the sensation of brushing hair or applying skincare. Overwhelming discomfort from deodorants, shampoos, or certain soaps. 3rd, menstrual and hormonal sensitivities. Heightened sensory overload during PMS or periods. Discomfort with menstrual products like pads or tampons. Increased emotional dysregulation due to hormonal fluctuations. 4th, social and environmental sensory challenges. Overwhelm in crowded places due to background noise and lights. Aversion to specific food textures that are dismissed as being picky. Sensory-seeking behaviors like fidgeting, but masking them in public. Because many of these sensitivities are linked to gendered experiences, they often go unrecognized as autistic traits. Women are frequently told to tough it out or get used to it, leading to stress and discomfort. Acknowledging and accommodating these needs is key to improving quality of life for autistic women. Social struggles and masking burnout. Autistic women often face unique social challenges due to societal expectations and the pressure to conform. Many learn to mask their autistic traits early on, mimicking social behaviors, forcing eye contact, and suppressing natural responses to fit in. While this helps them navigate social situations, it comes at a heavy cost. 1. The weight of social expectations. Women are expected to be empathetic, socially intuitive, and emotionally expressive. Autistic women often struggle with these expectations, but learn to compensate by studying body language, rehearsing conversations, and mirroring others. Many feel like they're acting in social situations, leading to exhaustion and identity confusion. 2nd, difficulty with friendships and relationships. Autistic women may struggle with group dynamics, preferring deep one-on-one connections. They might miss subtle social cues, leading to misunderstandings or feeling like an outsider. Some get taken advantage of due to their trusting nature or difficulty setting boundaries. 3. The reality of masking burnout. Masking for long periods is mentally and physically draining. Over time, it can lead to autistic burnout, where a person feels completely exhausted, overwhelmed, and unable to function as they normally would. Many women don't realize they're masking until they reach burnout, often in adulthood, when they can no longer keep up with the constant effort. Burnout can manifest as extreme fatigue, withdrawal from social interactions, increased sensory sensitivities, and even physical health issues. 4. Breaking the cycle. Recognizing the toll of masking and allowing yourself to unmask in safe spaces is essential. Finding neurodivergent friendly communities can help reduce the pressure to conform. Learning to set boundaries, embrace personal needs, and practice self-care can prevent long-term burnout. Many autistic women go years, sometimes decades, without realizing the impact of masking. Creating awareness about these struggles can help others understand that they're not alone and that it's okay to be authentically themselves. Navigating friendships, relationships, and motherhood as an autistic woman. Autistic women often face unique challenges in social and emotional connections, from making and maintaining friendships to navigating romantic relationships and motherhood. The pressure to conform to societal expectations can make these experiences overwhelming, but understanding your needs and boundaries can help create more fulfilling relationships. 1. Friendships. finding genuine connections. Many autistic women struggle with traditional social norms, leading to difficulties in making or maintaining friendships. Challenges: difficulty with small talk and group dynamics, feeling misunderstood or like an outsider in social circles, being overly loyal in friendships, sometimes at the expense of personal well being. Solutions: seeking like minded friends in neurodivergent friendly communities, prioritizing quality over quantity in friendships, deep, meaningful connections over superficial ones, being open about needs and boundaries to build more authentic relationships. 2. Romantic relationships, understanding needs and boundaries. Autistic women may struggle with dating due to difficulties with social cues, sensory sensitivities, or emotional regulation. Challenges: misreading romantic signals or struggling with flirting, feeling overwhelmed by the social expectations of dating, difficulty expressing emotions or needing extra alone time. Solutions: communicating needs early in relationships, for example, sensory sensitivities, social energy limits, finding partners who respect neurodivergence and are willing to learn and adapt, setting clear boundaries and practicing self-care to avoid emotional exhaustion. 3. Motherhood, balancing expectations and sensory needs. Motherhood can be especially overwhelming for autistic women due to sensory overload, executive functioning challenges, and societal pressures to be an ideal mother. Challenges: sensory sensitivities with baby cries, touch, and unpredictable routines, struggles with executive function, such as managing household tasks and parenting duties, feeling inadequate due to societal expectations of motherhood. Solutions: creating structured routines that work with your sensory needs, seeking support from family, friends, or neurodivergent parenting groups, practicing self-compassion, understanding that being a good parent doesn't mean fitting into neurotypical standards, being a good person too. Navigating friendships, relationships, and motherhood as an autistic woman can be challenging, but it's possible to build meaningful connections and create a life that honors your neurodivergence. The key is embracing self-awareness, setting boundaries, and finding supportive communities that understand and respect your unique experiences. Mental health and misdiagnosis in autistic women. Many autistic women go undiagnosed for years because their struggles are often mistaken for other mental health conditions. Instead of recognizing autism, doctors and therapists frequently diagnose anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorder, BPD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, conditions that share overlapping traits with autism but don't fully explain the person's experiences. 1. Why misdiagnosis happens. Masking and social conditioning. Many autistic women learn to camouflage their traits, making their struggles less obvious. Gender bias in autism research. Diagnostic criteria are still largely based on how autism presents in men. Emotional and sensory challenges. Internalized anxiety, emotional dysregulation, and sensory sensitivities can look like symptoms of other disorders. 2. Common misdiagnoses. Anxiety and depression. Many autistic women experience chronic anxiety due to social pressures and sensory overload. Depression often develops from years of feeling misunderstood, isolated, or burnt out. Borderline personality disorder, BPD. Emotional dysregulation, black and white thinking, and struggles with identity are common in both autism and BPD. The difference: BPD is trauma-driven and marked by fear of abandonment, while autistic women may struggle with emotional regulation but do not experience the same impulsivity or extreme relationship instability. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. Autism and OCD can both involve rigid thinking, repetitive behaviors, and strong routines. The difference: OCD is driven by intrusive thoughts and compulsions to relieve anxiety, whereas autistic routines stem from a need for predictability and comfort. 3. The impact of misdiagnosis. Wrong treatments. Many autistic women are prescribed medication or therapy that doesn't address the core issue. Lack of proper support. Without an autism diagnosis, women may not receive accommodations for sensory needs or executive function struggles. Identity confusion. Misdiagnosis can lead to years of feeling like something is wrong without fully understanding why. 4. Getting the right diagnosis. Seeking an autism-informed professional who understands how autism presents in women. Reflecting on childhood traits that align with autism but may have been dismissed. Connecting with other autistic women to see if their experiences resonate. Recognizing autism in women is crucial for providing the right support and breaking the cycle of misdiagnosis. More awareness can help autistic women get the validation, self-understanding, and accommodations they need to thrive. Sharing personal experiences and community responses can help bring these struggles to life and validate others who have faced similar challenges. My personal experience with misdiagnosis. For years, I was told I had anxiety and depression, but no one ever looked deeper to see why I was struggling in the first place. I always felt overwhelmed in social situations, drained after masking all day, and had intense sensory sensitivities, but instead of recognizing these as autistic traits, doctors simply labeled me as anxious and gave me coping strategies that never really worked. It wasn't until adulthood, after learning about autism in women, that I realized my experiences align perfectly. Looking back, I can see how much I struggled to fit in, how I mimicked social behaviors to avoid standing out, and how I was constantly pushing through sensory discomfort without understanding why. Finally, getting an autism diagnosis helped me understand myself and gave me permission to unmask and advocate for my needs. Community stories and responses. If you have listener-submitted stories, this is a great place to include them. You could share someone's experience being misdiagnosed with BPD or OCD before realizing they were autistic. A story from a woman who masked so well that even doctors dismissed her struggles. The frustration of constantly feeling too much or not enough without knowing why. Many will relate to the struggle of being overlooked, misunderstood, or misdiagnosed, and opening this discussion can help others feel seen and heard. The benefits of unmasking and self-acceptance. For many autistic women, unmasking and embracing their true selves is a transformative and healing journey. After years, sometimes decades, of hiding traits, forcing themselves to fit in, and feeling like they're too much or not enough, self-acceptance can bring a sense of relief and freedom. 1. Reduced mental and emotional exhaustion. Masking takes a huge toll on mental health. Constantly monitoring tone, facial expressions, and social cues is exhausting. Unmasking allows for more authentic interactions and less emotional burnout. 2. Better mental health and self-compassion. Understanding that struggles aren't personal failures but part of being autistic helps shift from self-blame to self-compassion. Accepting autism can help reduce anxiety and depression caused by years of feeling misunderstood. 3. Stronger, more genuine relationships. Instead of forcing surface-level friendships, unmasking allows for deeper, more fulfilling connections with those who truly accept you. Setting boundaries becomes easier when you acknowledge your needs without guilt. 4. Honoring sensory and emotional needs. Recognizing sensory sensitivities leads to better self-care. Choosing environments, clothing, and routines that feel good rather than what's socially acceptable. Accepting emotional differences allows for healthier coping strategies instead of suppressing emotions to fit in. 5. Finding true confidence and purpose. Embracing autism helps with self-identity, allowing you to explore passions and strengths without the pressure of being someone you're not. Many autistic women find fulfillment in advocacy, creative pursuits, or helping others on the same journey. Self-acceptance isn't always easy, especially after years of masking, but it's worth it. By embracing who you truly are, you can start living a life that aligns with your needs, values, and strengths, without the constant pressure to conform. How to advocate for yourself in medical and social settings. Self-advocacy is a crucial skill for autistic women, especially in a world that often misunderstands or dismisses neurodivergent experiences. Whether you're seeking medical support, accommodations, or simply trying to be understood in social situations, learning to advocate for yourself can make a huge difference. 1. Advocating in medical settings. Many autistic women struggle with being taken seriously by doctors and mental health professionals, especially if they've been misdiagnosed in the past. Before an appointment, write down specific challenges you face, e.g., sensory sensitivities, burnout, executive functioning struggles. Research and bring supporting materials about autism in women, as many professionals are still unfamiliar with it. Prepare a list of questions or concerns to stay focused during the conversation. During the appointment, clearly state what you need, e.g., I believe I may be autistic and I'd like a referral for an evaluation. If dismissed, ask for clarification. Can you explain why you don't think this applies to me? If a provider isn't listening, it's okay to seek a second opinion or find an autism-informed professional. After the appointment, follow up with notes, emails, or additional resources if needed. Advocate for accommodations if medical environments are overwhelming, e.g., requesting written instructions instead of verbal ones. 2. Advocating in social settings. Navigating friendships, family relationships, and workplaces as an autistic woman can be challenging, but self-advocacy helps create healthier interactions. Setting boundaries. If socializing is draining, say, I need some time to recharge, but I'd love to catch up later. If small talk is difficult, redirect conversations to topics of interest. If sensory environments are overwhelming, advocate for adjustments. For example, asking to dim lights, requesting quiet spaces. Disclosing autism or not. You don't have to disclose unless you feel comfortable and safe. If you do, focus on what helps you thrive. I'm autistic, so I communicate better through text than phone calls. Educate those who are open to learning, but don't feel obligated to justify your experiences. Work and professional advocacy. Ask for accommodations that support your productivity, e.g., flexible schedules, written instructions, noise-canceling headphones. Frame requests in terms of work efficiency. This adjustment will help me perform at my best. Know your rights. Many countries have workplace disability protections for autistic individuals. Final thoughts. Advocacy is about knowing your needs, standing firm in your experiences, and setting boundaries without guilt. It takes practice, but the more you advocate for yourself, the easier it becomes to create environments where you can truly thrive. Finding and building supportive communities. One of the most empowering steps in embracing autism is finding a community that truly understands and supports you. Many autistic women grow up feeling isolated, misunderstood, or like they don't quite fit in, but connecting with others who share similar experiences can be life-changing. 1. Where to find supportive communities. Online communities and social media. Facebook groups and Reddit. There are many autism-focused groups specifically for women and non-binary people, e.g., Are Autistic Women on Reddit. TikTok and Instagram creators following neurodivergent advocates can provide relatable content and a sense of belonging. Discord servers. Many online spaces exist for neurodivergent individuals to connect in real time. Local support groups and meetups. Look for autism support organizations that host in-person or virtual meetings. Some cities have women-only neurodivergent support groups where you can connect with others in a safe space. If you can't find one in your area, consider starting your own meetup. Chances are others are looking too. Work and professional networks. Some workplaces have neurodiversity employee resource groups, ERGs, that provide peer support. If you're in school, check if they have autism or disability advocacy groups. LinkedIn and other professional platforms also have neurodivergent networking groups. 2. How to build your own support system. Start small and safe. If socializing is overwhelming, begin with online interactions before moving to in-person groups. Join spaces where masking isn't necessary and you can be yourself. Find like-minded people. Not all autistic spaces feel right for everyone. Some focus on advocacy, while others are casual and social. Look for groups that align with your values, interests, and level of engagement. Create your own community. Start a group chat with other autistic women who share your experiences. Host virtual or local meetups to connect in a comfortable environment. Use platforms like Facebook, Meetup, or Discord to form small, supportive networks. 3. The benefits of finding your people. Less loneliness, finally feeling seen, understood, and accepted. Validation, realizing you're not alone in your struggles and experiences. Practical support, sharing coping strategies, workplace advice, and life hacks with those who get it. Building a supportive community takes time, but once you find your people, it makes a world of difference. Whether online or in person, having a space where you can be your authentic autistic self is one of the most powerful forms of self-care and empowerment. Self-care tips. Tailored for autistic women. Self-care looks different for autistic women. What works for neurotypicals, like spontaneous spa days or social outings, might feel draining or even stressful. Instead, autistic self-care is about honoring your sensory needs, reducing burnout, and creating routines that support your well-being. 1. Sensory-friendly self-care. Many autistic women experience sensory sensitivities that can lead to overwhelm. Prioritizing sensory comfort can make a big difference. Clothing and environment. Wear soft, non-restrictive clothing, tag less, loose-fitting, or compression wear if preferred. Adjust lighting, sounds, and textures in your space to be more comfortable, e.g., using dim lights, noise-canceling headphones, weighted blankets. Have a sensory toolkit with fidget toys, aromatherapy, or calming textures. Food and eating habits. If certain textures or flavors are overwhelming, stick to safe foods without guilt. Keep easy-to-prepare meals on hand for low-energy days. Try structured eating schedules if executive dysfunction makes meal times inconsistent. 2. Preventing and managing burnout. Autistic burnout, caused by prolonged masking, social exhaustion, and sensory overload, is a serious issue. Self-care should prevent and recover from burnout. Reduce social pressure. Give yourself permission to say no to social events that feel overwhelming. Plan rest days after intense social interactions. Use scripts to politely decline invitations, e.g., "I'd love to, but I need time to recharge." Energy management and downtime. Pace yourself. Schedule time for solitude between busy activities. Engage in low-effort hobbies like listening to audiobooks, watching comfort shows, or drawing. Use the spoon theory to track energy levels and avoid overextending yourself. 3. Executive function support. Many autistic women struggle with task initiation, planning, and organization. Self-care should make daily life easier. Create routines and external reminders. Use planners, whiteboards, or apps to break tasks into smaller steps. Automate daily tasks where possible, e.g., meal delivery services, autopay for bills. Set visual or auditory reminders for important tasks like eating, drinking water, or taking breaks. Simplify daily responsibilities. Reduce decision fatigue by meal prepping or wearing a capsule wardrobe. Set up a body doubling session, working alongside someone for motivation. Use low-effort hygiene hacks, e.g., dry shampoo, shower wipes, simplified skincare. 4. Emotional and mental well-being. Autistic women often struggle with self-doubt, masking stress, and emotional regulation. Prioritizing emotional well-being is essential. Practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that you are not too much. Society just isn't built for neurodivergence. Replace self-criticism with affirmations, e.g., "I am valid as I am." Surround yourself with neurodivergent affirming communities for validation and support. Therapeutic and decompression activities. Engage in stimming activities to regulate emotions, e.g., rocking, humming, fidgeting. Try journaling or voice notes to process thoughts and emotions. Explore autism-informed therapy, if accessible, to navigate challenges. Final thoughts. Self-care for autistic women is about embracing what feels right for you, not forcing yourself to follow neurotypical wellness trends. By honoring your needs, setting boundaries, and making life more sensory-friendly, you can reduce burnout, improve well-being, and thrive as your authentic self. We've covered a lot in this episode about autism in women, how it's often overlooked, the impact of masking, the challenges of navigating life as an autistic woman, and the importance of self-acceptance, advocacy, and self-care. You are not alone. Your experiences are real, valid, and deserving of understanding and support. If you've ever felt unseen or misunderstood, know that there is a whole community out here that gets it. You don't have to hide who you are to be worthy of love, success, and happiness. Embracing your autism isn't always easy, but it can lead to a more authentic and fulfilling life. You deserve that. Let's keep this discussion going. I'd love to hear from you. Share your story. What resonated with you in this episode? Engage on social media, comment, DM me, or join the community discussion. Support each other. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who might need to hear it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Your support and engagement mean the world, and together, we're making space for autistic voices to be heard. Next episode, we'll be diving into breaking cultural stigmas. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, take care, honor your needs, and remember, you are enough just as you are.